Now, the new budget GPU seen recently hasn't been great. Well, if you can call 200-ish budget in 2025. Gamers have really had the choice between the now nearly 4 years old RX 6600 and Intel's newer but underrated ARC B570. So can nvidia's new offering, the RTX 5050, change that? Jury's out on this one, folks. My name's Andy, and this is Andy's Tech. So today I thought I'd take a look at the new baby RTX 5050. Now yes, I do know there are more budget GPUs out on the market, like the RTX 3050 6GB and the A380 ARC, but really these are slap in an office PC and call it done graphics cards, unless you really want some like Stalker 2 slideshow action. They're only really good for some light esports titles. Now nvidia seem to have skipped the RTX 4050 unless you own a laptop, which again isn't recommended. So can Team Green save the day and provide us with a solid entry-level card? Looking at the welcome it's been met so far on YouTube and with reviewers, it hasn't gone down too well, but we'll reserve judgment. The card I've brought is this little MSI Shadow X2. It's a basic no frills model and it's identical to the same MSI RTX 5060, which currently only costs £30 more here in the UK. Specs wise, the card has 2560 shading units. It comes with 8GB of GDR6 VRAM with 128-bit bus. TDP is 130 watts, so you'll be fine with any kind of half decent 500 watt 80 plus power supply. You'll also need one 8-pin power connector as well. You get all the latest nvidia upscaling technology like DLSS 4 and FrameGen as well. Now the main issue I have with this card is it's a PCIe 5.0x8 card, which is fine if you're rocking the latest AM5 CPU and platform, you know, but nobody is going to pair this GPU with like a 9600X, 9800X 3D, etc. Its main market is going to be, you know, the few generations old low ballers and like first time gamers with like AM4 or like 10th, 11th, 12th gen Intel, stuff like that. Like what nvidia were thinking, I don't know, as like PCI 5.0 must be like 5% maybe of like worldwide PC gamers right now, and like they've literally capped off their target audience. I'm not going to do a full number crunch review today on this card, as there's plenty out there, you know, you can go and find them. I'm simply going to use this card as I would and give you my opinion based on its performance. I am, however, going to be testing the card at 1440p today. Why, you ask? Well, I have a 1440p 32-inch monitor, and 1440p is kind of becoming the future now. The price of cheap, even half decent 1440p monitors is like so ridiculously low now that we're just going to give it a crack at this resolution. So yeah, let's slap this thing in my PC and see how it performs. So first up, we'll do some synthetic benchmarks for you synthetic benchmark junkies. Time Spy, we had a graphics score of 10,143 and a physics score of 11,241, which is great apparently, according to FutureMark. I went on to test Cyberpunk next, 1440p medium settings with DLSS quality and medium crowds. We achieved an average of 90, 1% low of 73 and 0.1% low of 68. There was probably room to play around a bit here with the settings, maybe do a medium high mix. It's also worth noting the test system today. I'm using my Ryzen 5 9600X, 32GB of DDR5 6000 CL30 and just a 2TB Gen 4 NVMe drive. Black Myth next, again 1440p, medium settings with DLSS quality. This is going to be a theme here today. But we did have an average of 75 FPS, 1% of 61, and a 0.1% of 9. There was the occasional stutter, mainly due to loading in a new area, it seemed, on the benchmark. This may be different in the actual game, but I do only have Black Myth benchmark, which you can download on Steam for free. It's a great benchmark tool for computers. But we'll move on to some actual games now. And first up, Fortnite. We'll get the esports out the way. 1440p, DirectX 12, low preset with epic view distance and TSR set to low. It's always a mouthful explaining the Fortnite settings. Average 197 FPS, 1% of 118, and typical Fortnite 0.1% of 19. This was taken over like 3 matches, and you know, people say as you play it, it will smoothen out a bit, but really a very nice Fortnite experience. Performance mode would see even more, but obviously that's CPU dependent. But you know, if you bought yourself a 180 Hz, 144 Hz, 1440p monitor, you know, you'd be more than okay with Fortnite. COD next, or Black Ops, whatever it is these days. Not my favourite game at the moment. They seem to have you know, ruined the equilibrium with stupid pointless skins and laser guns. Maybe I'm showing my age, you know, as I fastly approach 40. Oh god, I can't believe I just said that. 1440p balance settings with DLSS on quality again. We achieved an average of 111, which is very respectable, 1% of 86, and a very respectable 0.1 of 73. Perfectly playable COD at 1440p on this little card. 1080p, even better. Next up, Forza Motorsport, favourite game of mine at the minute. 1440p high at native on this. It's quite a well optimised game, Forza Motorsport. Obviously it's a couple of years old now. Average of 90, 1% of 80, 0.1% of 74. This was quite an intensive race, you know, there's enough cars on the track, and it, yeah, absolutely smashed Forza. Last of Us Part 2 next. Great game, just builds on The Last of Us Part 1. It's actually a lot less demanding than the Part 1, I don't know why. 1440p high settings with DLSS on quality. We achieved an average of 86, respectable 1% of 71, 0.1% of 66. Great game, it runs great on this card, you'd have no trouble at all playing through the story. There may be areas in the game, other than the one I tested, you know, where you may see slightly less performance. There may be areas where you see slightly more performance, but I found that this sort of city environment walkthrough that I do tends to give quite a good balance of the whole game in general. The one game nobody wants to see on their benchmark roster, and last up, Stalker 2. We did go 1440p medium settings, but with this one we had to turn on DLSS balanced, and with those settings we achieved an average scraped through of 60, 1% of 42, 0.1% of 22. Now I did rerun this little benchmark that I do on here, and I turned on frame gen, and actually with the frame gen on I couldn't really notice much difference. There certainly wasn't any increased latency or noticeable latency and stuff like that. And turning frame gen on with the little RTX 5050, the averages jumped up to 88, 0.1% of 61, 1% of 61, sorry, and 0.1% of 44. So Stalker, just about playable. When you start turning the settings down on Stalker, it doesn't look great. There's some shading issues, screen artifacts and stuff like that, but it is an Unreal Engine 5 title, and we are pushing it to the limits of what it can do here. So the RTX 5050, I could have probably started the review with the conclusion, and that is, well, it's just a bit pointless with all the factors against it. Should you buy one? No, probably not. I mean, forgetting the used market and the fact that the RTX 4060 exists, it would be like okay if your parents brought you one for Christmas or in a pre-built. But yeah, I mean, it's still a modern GPU and it has some great features, but like you'll be kicking yourself in the camel toe that you just didn't spend 30 quid more on the RTX 5060 or B580 even. And even the RX 9060 XT is like £20 more again. If nvidia had released this card for like £169.95 or £180, they would have literally wiped the floor on the budget GPU scene, as it does perform okay, you know, but you do have to make some sacrifices, and it is kind of a card that you have to use upscaling with to get the best out of it. Alas, you know, nvidia seem to have double bluffed themselves again into another pointless position. Not that they seem to care these days. So I'm stuck with this now. Does anyone want to do swapsies? Thank you for watching the video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.